We start to consider the distance to the moons. That is the closest object from the Earth in the universe. We use a tape measure or rulers to measure the length of a line in your notebook or textbook. So if you want to measure the notebook or tables, you can use a tape measures or ruler to measure the distance. However, it is impossible to use a rulers to measure the distance to the moons. This is the Earth. This is the moons. We cannot bring a measure or ruler, tape measure or rulers to connect the moon to the Earth. It's impossible to use rulers. How can we measure the distance to the moons? I'm going to explain this. I believe that you study the trigonometry. Some students do not like to study trigonometries because they don't know how to apply trigonometry in our daily lives. Today, I will explain how important it is to study the trigonometry. This is really important. The method to measure the distance to the moons from us is called the parallax method. We don't have to measure the distance directly with the rulers. Instead, we draw triangles and measure the length of the base side and angle formed by the base and the direction to the object. So in this case, if you want to measure the distance to the buildings beyond the river, you stand here, you want to measure the distance to the building. But rivers exist between the building and you. And how can you find out the distance to the buildings? But in this case, you can really move horizontal directions. And then in this case, you can use rulers or tape measure to measure the distance. In these positions, you can find the buildings in front of you. If you move to the left directions, then you can find the angles of these angles or thetas. You know that this base of A and this distance of angle of the thetas. Then this D distance, you can considering these triangles. Tangent, if you remember the trigonometry, what is a tangent theta? Can be expressed D over A. So if you want to find the distance of D, you can use A tangent theta. So using the knowledge of the trigonometries, you know the tangent thetas. And you can use a tape measure to measure the distance of A, length of the A's. You can find the distance to the building using the trigonometry, using these formulas. Okay, so we can use this method to find the distance to the moons. The moon is here, looks like a building. And you stand here, and your friend is moving a little bit away from you. Then we can walk on the surface of the Earth, so we can measure this distance of the base of the A. And then you might find the moons you just over your head, and your friend find the moons in this direction, thetas. And the distance from the Earth to the moons, you can also create these triangles. So D can be calculated using the A tangent thetas. So if we measure the length of the base of A and the angle of the thetas, you can use this formula to find the distance to the moons without using the measures. So this is the answer to this practice.